And we are live. Welcome to the channel. It's Noble Credit. Today, I'm going to be tracking this government shutdown deal. I am active duty military, so I'm tracking it to make sure that active duty service members, the effect that it has on them isn't felt as harshly should it get prolonged for a longer period of time. I'm tracking the news at the moment, and it looks like the House has actually passed a bill that uh, will, at least for the next 45 days, um, a spending bill is passed. So until November 17th. And I think this has to just go through the Senate and it should be good to go. Obviously, get signed by the president after that. That's just the way Congress and the way laws, that's how they get passed. That's how it works. But today I'm going to be tackling how active duty service members can prepare themselves for a government shutdown should they arise. Um, I've been a part of one since I've been in the military, and that was back in 2019, 2018, 2019, one of those two. And didn't really feel it, didn't really feel the effects of the shutdown because I was active duty and they had a continuous resolution that included uh, keeping military payments ongoing at the time, except for the Coast Guard, because the Coast Guard is uh, under the Department of Homeland Security. So, but the Coast Guard eventually did get back paid. So let's talk about what a government shutdown is. So every fiscal year, a spending bill has to get passed and approved, and it goes through Congress, signed by the president. And that spending bill just allows the government to continue to function. Now, when uh, when you can't get to a bipartisan agreement, a lot of times one party is going to try to stop a spending bill if they feel like not enough is being allocated toward the things that they want, or there's an over allocation for things that they do not want. In this case, we have, what's up, big boy? In this case, we have the Ukraine war is a big topic of discussion, and they still haven't reached a resolution for the spending bill for the Ukraine war. I believe uh, Ukraine wants 6 billion, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to look that up, and I'll continue to give up to date uh, updates on the spending bill and what was passed and the holdup. I'll continue to give those updates, but I know that Ukraine wanted more money, and the Democrats, they're completely fine with giving Ukraine the money. It's a certain segment of the Republicans. Most Republicans typically want to cut spending toward Ukraine, and then uh, a very outspoken section of the Republicans, they want to almost completely cut the spending toward Ukraine. So uh, that's one of the issues that they're having. They're having an issue with getting money allocated toward the border, which is typically, when you think about the spectrums of politics, it's typically like a right-left issue. The left generally wants, like, the right generally wants more border security. The left, they kind of don't. They can take it or leave it. But the right, one of their focuses is on border security. So that was one main one. And then the Ukraine war. So you can see how this would hold up uh, a spending bill. Now, how does a spending bill being held up affect us, myself as an active duty service member? Well, that means that we get paid from the government. So if there's no spending bill and there's no money allocated towards paying us, does that affect every single government function? It does not. For instance, the VA, it does not affect the VA, at least for the time being, because the VA money is allocated well in advance. It's about a year in advance that money is allocated. So disability checks, they still roll out, pensions, they still get rolled out because a government shutdown would affect the money coming now that has not been approved. That money has already been approved. So uh, this podcast, I'm specifically talking to military. And by the way, if you are joining me, can you please hit the like button? I'm specifically talking to military, making sure you guys know what benefits that are at your disposal should there be a military shutdown. Okay. I'm going to be answering questions kind of as they come, but if I do, if I am on a roll, I will kind of skip the question until I can get back to it. But Johnny T asked, how would this continuing resolution 45-day affect military training schools? Great question. So all the funding up until that 45-day mark is going to be there. So, things are going to kind of go on as scheduled. Everything is going to be fine for at least the next 45 days. Then after that, then that's when we could have issues. So one of the biggest problems that people will ask about is like going TDY. Sometimes if there isn't a budget passed, then those TDYs can be canceled. Like you could be on a TDY. TDY means temporary assigned duty or temporary duty. You could be on a TDY and they cancel it. So they bring all the people home. That's what happened back in 2019. A bunch of service members, on TDYs, and they just had to return to their permanent duty station because there was no money allocated for their TDY. So you got to return home. That's the way that goes. And then the next one is going to be PCSs. So PCSs, they're halted for that time being until a bill gets passed. Now, in this case, it looks like a bill has been passed and it got passed today. So I'm pretty early on this news, but it literally got passed not more than a few hours ago. And going into the Senate, I think it has to be signed. I think it has to go through the Senate by at least midnight. I guess if it doesn't go through by midnight, then, Monday, it should get pushed through. But the 45-day resolution is obviously, it's a good thing for us to maintain our pay. But it's also, if you are on the side that your needs did not get met through the budget, or you feel like too much money was allocated toward things that we don't need, then you don't feel too good about the 45-day continuous resolution. But in order to keep money into people's pockets, it sounds like the majority speaker made a decision not necessarily for his own party, but just for the betterment of everybody in the United States, at least for the moment, because nobody has a crystal ball. You can't see into the future. But one thing that I know a lot of lawmakers, they really care about the military and they want to make sure that, the government functions. People don't want shutdowns, but sometimes they happen because we can't get some basic, I won't say basic issues, because some of these issues are complex. Like the war in Ukraine, that's a complex issue. It's not an issue that you can just boil down to, well, they handle their own problem, so why doesn't the European Union jump in? And it's also not an issue that you can just go, let's help them as much as humanly possible. And then, you have people saying, hey, what about our own homeland? Right? Well, allocating all this money there, but in our own homeland, we have this problem, that problem. So it's complex issues. So in the case that there is a shutdown, I want to make sure military, active duty, reserve, whoever, they are prepared. And as far as PCSs and TDYs go and going to military training schools, yeah, so those things, those things would be halted in the event of a government shutdown. And then they would pick back up. Last time we had a government shutdown, it was shut down for 35 days. And if you're just joining, make sure you hit the like button on your way in. It was shut down for 35 days. And while the military continued to get paid throughout, the Coast Guard did not, Department of Homeland Security, but a plan was put in place to make sure that at least the people fighting for the country continue to get paid. This time, it looks like they just put a plan in place so that all government employees continue to get paid. So it looks like there won't be any furloughs on Monday, but who knows what's going to happen 45 days from now, right? So I want to make sure that you guys are equipped to be able to handle something like this, because the stats say that a third of the military is living paycheck to paycheck. And that sounds more self-reported. I imagine it's probably more than that. I imagine even if you make pretty good money in the military, losing a paycheck is probably not ideal. So I want to give you guys a few institutions that offer some military benefits to you in case you need money kind of in a pinch like this, but you know you're going to get the money back soon. So Navy Federal, and I'm going to drop this link. I'm going to drop this link in the chat. Navy Federal has a government shutdown loan program, and this program is designed to pay you whatever your previous deposit. So let's say you get paid from the government through Navy Federal. This loan program is designed to pay you what you previously got paid. It's kind of on a scale. So if your last paycheck was $2,800, then your scale would fall between the $2,500 to $3,000 range for this specific loan, and they would pay you $2,500. If you got paid $3,300 your last paycheck, then your pay scale would fall between $3,000 and $3,500, and they would pay you the $3,000. So they don't fully pay you all the money that you make, but they come close. So yeah, click that link in the chat to see that Navy Federal loan program, because that's a 0% loan. So it means you don't have to pay interest on the loan. But if you get in a pinch, you know you're going to get that money back. You just use the money. Navy Federal applies it to your account as per usual. And then once the government shutdown is over, you get the money, give the money back to Navy Federal. So that should definitely work. Another option would be USAA does a very similar thing. And I'm going to drop this link in the chat as well. There are requirements for both of these programs. So both of them are in the chat. There are requirements for both of these programs, but it's pretty easy. Most people in the military, they bank with USAA or Navy Fed, and this loan program is available to them. I'll go through some of the requirements. Okay, so for USAA, the loan requirement is you have to have direct deposit set up for a USAA bank checking or savings account as of the federal payment disruption date. So that date, if it was now, would be October 1st. So if there wasn't a bill passed before October 1st, which is in just a few hours, then you would have to have direct deposit set up to USA Bank. And then you'd have to have at least one qualifying direct deposit, must have posted to the same USA Bank checking or savings account within 30 days prior to the beginning of the interruption. So sometime in September. You would have to have credit approval required, and then you have to have a U.S. physical address or APO, DPO, or FPO. And then who's eligible to apply? Members who are employees of an impacted federal agency and direct deposit their government paycheck, as well as other account holders on the impacted USA bank deposit account. Now, for loan repayment, the loan has an annual percentage rate of 0% and must be repaid within 3 months of funding. So, assuming that the program or that a government shutdown would last longer than 3 months or less than 3 months, you should be good to go. Your payments may be split into 2 equal installments, with the first payment due in about 60 days and the second due in about 90 days. Excuse me. Yeah. So both of these are pretty good programs. I would hope that you don't have to use these because we've been funded. And I think that's what it looks like, or at least we haven't been funded. There is a bill that passed in the House. So Kevin McCarthy, what time did he bang the gavel? It was earlier today. It was at least either the beginning of this evening or, I think it was the beginning of this evening. So actually, the bill must be approved by the Senate before the end of Saturday to prevent a lapse in funding. So hopefully those guys are still working. Let me do a quick Google search to see if the Senate has approved the bill yet. I'm not seeing an approval. Okay, I see Congress passes stopgap bill ahead of midnight. Let me see. Okay, I'm going to read this. It says Congress passed a stopgap bill to avert a government shutdown just hours ahead of a critical midnight deadline when funding for federal agencies was set to run out. The Senate passed the measure Saturday evening after the House abruptly reversed course early in the day and passed a bipartisan bill to extend government funding after days of uncertainty over whether a shutdown could be averted. The bill will next need to be signed into law by President Joe Biden. The bill will keep the government open through November 17th and includes natural disaster aid, but not additional funding for Ukraine or border security. It also includes a measure to keep the Federal Aviation Administration operational. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy announced the stopgap proposal Saturday morning, a move that came after weeks of infighting among House Republicans in a failed effort to pass a GOP stopgap bill in the chamber. The bill passed the House with an overwhelmingly bipartisan vote. The decision by McCarthy to put a bill on the floor that would win support from Democrats could put his speakership at risk as hardline conservatives continue to threaten a vote to oust him from the top House leadership post. Okay, so that's getting more into like the political realm. But it looks like the Senate, I think CNN, I think they have their reporting correct. But I'll do a double check on another source just to make sure. But the headline reads, Senate passes a short-term bill to fund the government. It now heads to the White House. Okay, so it's passed through Congress. So if you are just joining first, hit the like button. But the bill first, early today, like right before I got on stream, it had passed through the House. And then it went to the Senate. And then while I was on stream, the news came out pretty much that the Senate had passed it, and now it heads to the desk of the president, President Joe Biden. So looks like government shutdown averted for the time being. However, some of these issues, these are hard issues to solve. These are hard issues to get bipartisan votes on. So I was fully expecting there to be a government shutdown. I'm glad there isn't. But at the same time, we have to prepare our people in case things like this do happen. And one of the ways that we prepare we prepare service members for things like this is by giving them the resources necessary to be able to weather these types of storms, because you're still going to get paid. You will get back paid. But for the time being, we need you to have the funds in order to continue to live. Right? Because we don't do this for free. We don't just do this out of the kindness of our hearts. We do this a lot of times. There are benefits that benefit us because the military is going to get everything they can out of you. So the least you can get is your paycheck. So I want you guys to get paid, but I also want you guys to get paid on time. So the back pay, it will come, but I need you to get paid when you need it. So like when your mortgage is due, you need that money. So this Navy Federal loan program is a good option. And then that USAA program is a good option. Now, if you don't have USAA or Navy Fed, I would have some questions for you as you are in the military. But the reason why I say that is because while I don't think Navy Federal and USA are the greatest banks in the world, they do a service for the military. And for what they do, they are good for what they do. For other things, like I think there are better banks for credit cards, for instance. I think there are better banks that tailor their resources, tailor their benefits toward military, such as Chase. I think I have a Chase business checking account. Actually, I have two Chase business checking accounts, and they waive the monthly maintenance fee because I'm military. That's an example of a bank giving military benefits that aren't really military specific banks. So USAA, so the thing that I was saying about USAA and Navy Fed, if you don't have it, you definitely should. I'm not saying use it for every single product. I'm not saying just because you went into the military means you got to get rid of your home bank, whoever you used to bank with, your local credit union from back home. That's not what I'm saying. But if you came into the military with a Bank of America checking account, yeah, I think you should probably. I'm not going to say get rid of it. I got rid of mine when I first joined the military just because there was a monthly maintenance fee. Even though I knew I was going to have the money to be able to cover the monthly maintenance, to cover the amount of money that you need in there to avoid a monthly maintenance fees. Like, I disagree with banks having monthly maintenance fees. So I didn't think it necessary, but I definitely recommend having a USAA or a Navy Federal account. So I have accounts with both of these companies or both of these institutions. The reason why I have USAA, actually, I have a video on the channel. One of my latest videos is the, what did I do that video on? The USAA Cashback Rewards Plus credit card. Let me throw that link. Throw that link in here. So this USA Cashback Rewards Plus credit card, pretty good credit card, but it offers some benefits for military bases. Like it offers some rewards earnings on like military base purchases or commissary purchases or gas station purchases that I go into detail on why these things don't actually code to be able to give you like the 3x back or 4x, 5x back on the category that they talk about. So I go into a lot of detail on that. I definitely need to do some more videos on Navy Federal credit cards because I actually do have quite a few. I have 3 Navy Federal credit cards, I believe. I have the Navy Federal. Which Navy Federal credit cards do I have? And I'm not saying that the Navy Federal products are the best credit cards. I'm certainly not saying. I'm just saying I have the products. I have some of their products. So I have the Gold Rewards card. Yeah, I have the Navy Federal Gold Rewards. I have the Navy Federal Platinum credit card. And I think That's it. Most people that I know that have a Navy Federal credit card, they have that cash rewards card. It's a decent card. A lot of people have they got that card during boot camp. Um, but yeah, Navy Federal, they have some decent, okay products. One of the products that I do not like, for instance, is the Navy Federal flagship credit card. That credit card has a $49 annual fee and actually comes with some decent benefits. I think it comes with like Amazon. It comes with a subscription to um, no, you get the TSA pre-check and global entry credit, but I believe it has Amazon Prime free for a year. So that's money in your pocket technically. I just don't like the annual fee because I'm not a fan of annual fees, but I have a lot of credit cards with annual fees, and that's because Chase and American Express and Citi and Bank of America and Capital One to an extent, and US Bank, they all waive the annual fees on all their credit cards for active duty service members. So I get their credit cards and I don't have to pay annual fees, and then I get all the benefits on top of that. So it's not that I'm not a fan. I clearly have the products for USAA and I clearly have some products for Navy Federal, and I receive my paychecks through Navy Fed. I just understand what the use cases for each institution. So Navy Federal is useful. I think the checking account is useful. A savings account is somewhat useful. And then the credit cards are pretty good. Another reason why I use USAA, I use USAA also for insurance. So umbrella insurance, not on the house that I live in, but on rental properties. You got to cover yourself just in case, right? And then USAA isn't always the cheapest auto insurance. In fact, it almost never is. But for my use, I use USAA auto insurance because I had to bundle it in order to be able to use the umbrella insurance. So that's really the only reason. And then the customer service for USA, it's really good. And I made a face just saying it just because I recognize how good their service is. Like, I've been on the phone with Geico and I've been on the phone with USA. All right. If USA has a premium price, I'm not saying I'm not saying it's justified, but I am saying if you ever have to call them in the event that something happens to your car or to you, it's probably going to be the best experience that you have talking to any insurance company. So shout out to USA for that. But yeah, these two banks, they're going to offer assistance with the government shutdown if it, after the 45 days, after November 17th, if it happens to stay shut down. And by the way, if you are joining me in this live stream, please hit the like button. Also, if you are a leader in the military, share this video with your people because we want to have our people ready to weather the storm. We don't want them to be scared. We want them to know that everything's going to be okay, right? It's your job as a leader to assure your people everything's going to be okay, and that even if something does happen, these are resources. I know for people having a really hard time, there are programs like nonprofits out there, like I believe the YMCA does like a food drive for military where, for military families going through a government shutdown, they will provide food for them. The Navy and Marine Corps Relief Society, that's always going to be there. But I would rather you take these 0% loans, and I would rather you take the 0% loan route. And even if you didn't take the 0% loan route, uh, I have another option for you to take that I'm not sure if applying for that loan, because it says it needs a credit check. I'm not sure if that's a soft pull or a hard pull, but let's say it is a hard pull. Hard pull means a hard inquiry into your credit history, which affects your credit score. Let's say it is a hard inquiry. You're getting a hard inquiry for the money that you're supposed to get paid anyway. That doesn't make sense. So if you have to take on a hard inquiry, I know that I'm going to eventually get the money back. This is what I might do. And this is a little advanced, so you're going to have to bear with me for a second. Got to stop hitting that mic. So this is a tiny bit advanced, but stay in there. Apply for a credit card that gives you a 0% intro APR period. Most intro APR periods are 12 months or longer. There's some that are going to be like 9 months, but that's usually more on the business credit card side. But most are going to be 12 months or longer. A lot of them are going to be 15 months. So for instance, the Chase Freedom Unlimited has a 0% APR period on purchases and balance transfers for 15 months. That's really good. That's one of my favorite credit cards of all time. The Discover It credit card, one of the best videos I did this year was on the Discover It cashback card. That is a 0% APR for 15 months on purchases and balance transfers. Now, you would have to get approved for enough money to be able to cover some of the expenses that you have upcoming. So let's say you got approved for $7,000. With that $7,000, be able to cover you at least for maybe a month or two for all of your expenses, then you could apply for that. And hopefully they give you a nice starting limit, because eventually they will either see your spend and they will give you more just automatically, or you'll ask them for more of a credit limit. Now, remember, this is just a little bit more advanced of a method. It's just I'm trying to make sure that you're building credit at the same time using the credit system to your advantage. So it's money that you're going to spend. You're going to have to spend anyway. You might as well get some cash back for it. So in the case of the Discover It card, they do something called a cashback match, where Discover is going to match all the cash back that you earn within a year. So if you're using all your 5% categories, because it's a rotating categories card, so every quarter they give you like 3 or 4 rotating categories for 5%. It's a rotating categories card, and outside of those 5% categories, you're going to get 1% back on everything else. So it essentially, for the first year, turns into a 2% back credit card. And I have a video on my channel from earlier this year. If I can find that, and I'll put that in the chat. Where's my Discover It video? But yeah, Discover It card is a good card. I have the Discover It cashback credit card. Here it is. Yep. So I recommend it. It's also a really good balance transfer card. So on the more complex side of things, if you wanted to transfer a balance, so a lot of these credit cards, they're going to send you like checks every month or so, saying, hey, do you need a balance transfer? Balance transfer is basically you take the balance on one credit card, transfer it to the other, and then they give you a period of like 0% for however many months, so that you don't have to pay it off immediately. You can pay it off over time, interest free. You have to pay a small fee sometimes for the balance transfer, but this is also a way, and I have a video on balance transfers. That's a good video. That's a really helpful video. Every video that I recommend to you is a good video, but that's a really helpful video for those of you who are not familiar with what a balance transfer is. And I think in that video, I use the Discover It cashback credit card as an example. So I'm putting that in the chat now. Okay, before I continue, let me answer some of these chats. Ross Alinus, hopefully I didn't butcher your name too much. Ross Alinus says, "What's your plan when you get out with your annual fee cards?" So the plan is, it's well into the future, but I get this question pretty much every time I go live. The cards that I can downgrade, I will downgrade to no annual fee cards. But for like the platinum cards, hopefully American Express comes out with a no annual fee charge card that you can downgrade a platinum card to within the next 15 years. And then I would do that. Just have a bunch of no annual fee cards that I just have to keep alive. Because even the no annual fee cards I have now, I still keep them alive. I would just continue to keep them alive. But there are some cards that I can't keep alive no matter what, such as the platinum cards. Or like the Bonvoy Brilliant that doesn't really have a no annual fee downgrade path. The Ritz-Carlton kind of does because of the Bonvoy Bold. I think the Bonvoy Bold is no annual fee, but I would just downgrade it to no annual fee credit cards. And then some of the credit cards are keeper cards. So like I did a live stream yesterday or the day before on the IHG credit card. And the IHG credit card is a keeper credit card. Do not get it twisted. It's a $99 annual fee hotel credit card that gives you an anniversary free night that can be valued at up to 40,000 points, which at 0.8 cents per point, which IHG points are kind of worth, and that you can still get more value than that. That's well over $200 in value that you could get from that card. So that's the short answer. The long answer, it would have to take another live stream to go through every single credit card. Ross also said, "I'm in the military too, by the way, and I have quite a few annual fee cards, and I'm just wondering how you'll go about it. Thanks in advance." Yeah, no problem. That's what I'm here for. That's what I'm trying to provide, to give you guys an idea of how to utilize your credit while you're in, at least get the most benefit out of it. And then once you get out, hopefully you're set up. Hopefully you stay in long enough so that you can gain the residual benefits from some of these military credit cards. But it's fine if you don't. Completely fine. Babel says, "The reason I share those links is because, the reason I shared those links is because anyone in the service can use any one of these exchanges. Army and Navy can use Coast Guard exchanges and vice versa. The other thing to know is to check each one for the specific product you want because the prices are sometimes different for each exchange." I didn't see a link. Okay. Babel also says the exchanges also compare with Amazon, Best Buy, Target, Walmart, etc. This is important to know because many times the bigger box stores are cheaper, but the exchanges are tax-free and ship. Babel, if you're saying that you tried to share a link within the chat, it's probably, I don't see a link, but it's probably because it prevents you from doing so. Yeah. The chat probably prevents you from sharing a link. You mentioned how the exchanges, so he's talking about the base exchange. So like the PX, the BX, the NEX, base exchange, post exchange, and the Navy exchange. These exchanges are like department stores that are pretty comparable to Target, Walmart, usually better price. Oh yeah, so if you try to share a link, YouTube will not allow it. It looks like so. Sorry about that. But yeah, that's what the exchanges are. Um, Now, okay, I finished with all the comments. Back to the credit card situation. Oh, I shared a link for the Discovery credit card and then also the balance transfer, how to do a balance transfer just in case you find yourself in a situation where you need one. Back to these 0% intro APR cards. So, uh, Wells Fargo Active Cash Card, this is a pretty good one. I don't personally have this card, but it this card, I believe this card used to be the Propel card. No, no, I have that wrong. Anyways, Wells Fargo Active Cash, 0% APR on purchases for 15 months from account opening, 0% on uh, balance transfers for 15 months from account opening. Then you have the US Bank Visa Platinum. I get mail on this one all the time, but this one does 0% APR for 18 billing cycles on purchases and balance transfers. The Citi Custom Cash is a card that I also do have. This is an example of a card that I would downgrade my Citi Prestige to. So I have a Custom Cash and I have a Citi Prestige. That Citi Prestige, if I was to get out of the military tomorrow, I would downgrade that Citi Prestige to a Custom Cash in order to keep that credit history alive. But yeah, it has a 0% intro APR period for 15 months. The Capital One Quicksilver is a card that I also have. And I have a video on the custom or the Capital One Quicksilver from earlier this year. How earlier this year did I do that? Ooh, March. So I'll put that link. I'll put that link in. So this is a link for the Capital One Quicksilver card, which is offering a 0% intro period for 15 months. Next, we have the Bank of America Unlimited Cash Rewards credit card. Same deal, 15 months, 0% for 15 months. Next is the Chase Freedom Flex. This is very similar to the Chase Freedom Unlimited, but it's 0% for 15 months. As you can see, the best card so far has been for 18 months, and that was the US Bank Visa Platinum card. But that's also a specific, it's like a 0% card. Not forever. Obviously, it's just 18 months, but it's like a balance transfer card, and it's a card that you can hold a balance for 18 months and not have to pay any interest. It's specifically designed for that. Some of these other cards, like the Citi Custom Cash, its main superpower is that you get more money back or more reward points back for the category that you use most within a month or within a billing cycle. But yeah, we were talking about the Chase Freedom Flex. Very good card. I used to have the Chase Freedom Flex until I upgraded all my Freedom Flexes and my Freedom Unlimiteds to Chase Sapphire Reserves, which is why I have 3. The Blue Cash Everyday card from American Express is a 0% 15 months. Another very good card. Good for grocery and gas. Like I said, most of these cards, their superpower is not necessarily the 0% category. They just come with that. And it's just like a nicety to have. The only one that's main job is that was so far was the US Bank Visa Platinum card. Next is the Bank of America Travel Rewards card. I do have this card. It's a 0%, 15 months or 15 billing cycles. Next, Bank of America Custom Cash Rewards, same thing, 15 months, 0%. Next is the Chase Slate Edge. This is a 0%. Well, it's a balance transfer card. So the Slate used to be a balance transfer card. Now it's still a balance transfer card, but their balance transfer benefits have lessened in recent years. Now it looks like they're more 0% intro APR for 18 months. So along with that Visa Platinum card from US Bank. But yeah, so those are that's just a decent list of some intro APR cards that if you find yourself in a pinch and you need 18 months or 15 months or 12 months to be able to pay something off, you can use those types of credit cards and they should get you through the storm. And then once those intro periods are over, hopefully, you're doing better and then you can pay those off and then you're back to square one. Those cards weathered you through a storm, so you didn't have to pay interest. Let me get to this chat. Babo says, an example, a lot of times Walmart will sell an Xbox game for $39, $39.99, while the exchange is selling it for $59.99. The exchanges will compare them, so you would get the $39.99 no tax with free shipping. Okay. Kim Kong Will says, hello, brother. I'm in the Army as well. What are great 0% balance transfer cards to get? Okay, so I just went through a list. I hope you were with me during that list because you might have to watch it again on a playback. But the best balance transfer cards on this list was definitely, it depends on how many months you need, but for 18 months, the US Bank Visa Platinum and the Slate Edge, I would recommend the Slate Edge so that after that period is over, you can then transition that Slate Edge product, change it over to like a Chase Sapphire Reserve or a better product. You can't really do that with the US Bank Visa Platinum. I guess you could try to upgrade it to like a Altitude Go or an Altitude Reserve, but I don't think that those are in the same card family to allow you to do that. And I think for the US Bank Altitude Reserve, you have to apply for it. So that's why I say the Slate Edge is probably your best bet. That was actually one of the first Chase credit cards that I did get, that Slate Edge. And then eventually I got rid of the Slate Edge and I got Freedom Unlimiteds, Freedoms, Chase Sapphire Reserves, Chase Sapphire Preferreds, all of that. Babo says, now that you have 3 Sapphires, could you apply for another Flex and Freedom? Yes, but there would be no reason for me to, because there would be no reason for me to apply for another Flex or Freedom just because the value obtained from just a Sapphire Reserve alone is, I think I get what you're saying. Yes, I could apply for the Freedom Flex or the Chase Freedom Unlimited and then upgrade them to another Chase Sapphire Reserve. It takes 2 years to execute that whole plan. And during that 2 years, maybe I'm better off getting a card that I can get maximum value out of in 1 year. Because I probably wouldn't even be able to get the sign up bonus for either of those cards. So yes, the 1.5x in points is nice for the Freedom Unlimited. I like that. But so before I had 3 Chase Sapphire Reserves, I always tried to keep that Freedom Unlimited in the chamber. I held out for as long as I could, but after seeing just the difference between having a Freedom Unlimited and having a Chase Sapphire Reserve, it's just night and day. It doesn't compare. The amount of value extracted out of this one by itself, even if you did nothing else, you're getting your $300 travel credit. You're not making $300 off of the Freedom Unlimited in a year. Generally, like almost at max, I would have to do the math. Almost at max, you'd probably be clearing 200, 250. What would the math look like for 1.5% back on everything? Let me just see, typing in 30,000 times 0.015. Okay, so 30,000, you'd make 450. All right, what about 20,000? times 0.015. Okay, so you'd have to spend a good 20,000 on the Freedom Unlimited to just equal what the Chase FI Reserves gives you without working. And then on top of that, the Chase FI Reserve is going to give you multiple other things. So that's why it was just an easy decision to go, all right, no Chase Freedom Unlimited, Chase Sapphire Reserve. And even though the Freedom Unlimited comes with 1.5x categories and 3x categories and I believe 5x categories, it's still not worth it when what card would I use in order to pay those things that I would normally pay with a Freedom Unlimited? I would just use a Sapphire Reserve. Okay, so I'm taking what, a percentage point away, a 0.5% away from some of the things I'm going to get a little less back on. So over the long run, over a year's time, you're going to get more value out of a Sapphire Reserve, definitely. So that's why. Okay, back to keeping up on this government shutdown news. Got to find the story. So to recap on the latest government shutdown news, before I started this live stream, the House had passed a bill to keep the government open, averting a government shutdown. So we don't have to go without our October 15th checks. If we were going to go without those October 15th checks, the only way to not go without it is either have a resolution for military, at least have a full resolution, or something be done before the 6th, because that's when DFAS allocates the money for your mid-month pay. And then while I got on stream, that's when the Senate actually did pass the bill to keep the government open. But this is just for 45 days. So come November 17th, if we have not reached another resolution, then we will likely be heading toward a government shutdown, where the information in this video is going to be helpful for being able to weather that storm. Okay, so GOP's Roger Marshall and Bill Hagerty said they voted no on the continuing resolution because it didn't include additional funding for border security. The CR, the continuing resolution, does nothing to address our most immediate national security threat, our open border and the fentanyl pouring in, Marshall said. With a $33 trillion debt crisis, it's never been more clear America can't afford to continue these spending levels for one more day, let alone 45. During negotiations around a continuing resolution, I made very clear that I wouldn't support any short-term funding bill that didn't include serious border security measures to help put an end to the biting border crisis. And I'm keeping that commitment, said Hagerty. So, like I said in the very beginning, it's not a clear-cut issue with getting a spend plan or averting a government shutdown or having one. It's just not clear cut. One side wants things that the other doesn't care for. The other side wants things that the other side doesn't really care for. It's politics. The bad part is that it seems like the government is used as pawns and bargaining pawns within these plans, which we're all going to have our opinions on. But what I don't want you guys doing is deciding not to show up for work on Monday morning. Go to work. You're still under the UCMJ if you are in the military. You will be considered UA. So make sure you are at work Monday morning. Don't just think, oh, the government shut down, they're not paying me, so you don't have to go. Nope. You will be there. You will be at work. Babel says, 2 more questions. How did you even hear about this upgrade trick? It blew my mind when I saw your video. Are you worried that Chase will close your accounts if they want to get weird about it? No. So the upgrade trick, I didn't really see it. I guess it is a trick. The reason they never say you can't have more than one Chase Sapphire Reserve. They just say you can't apply for another one. Like, I think if they really didn't want something to happen, they just wouldn't let it happen. Right. So that's my thoughts on it. When they say that they would not let you apply for one, I said, okay, then I just won't apply for one. I'll just apply for a Chase Freedom and then upgrade it in a year's time. But I've been talking about this for years. I've been saying this plan for years on this channel. So things finally coming to fruition. These things have taken literally years in order to present themselves. And now it's finally here where, I have 3 Chase Sapphire reserves. It's like residual income in a way. People also says, I have a Freedom and Flex, but I'm just worried they would claw back or close me down for abuse. Oh my, no, that's not going to happen. Especially considering, no one's closed me down or anything. Like, I think one of the good things about this channel is I've put to rest a lot of almost being too scared to do anything, because if you see me doing it, if I guinea pig something and it works for me, it's probably going to work for you. Now, I don't even think that's not a shutdownable offense, because there's nowhere in Chase's rules where they say you can't have more than one Chase Sapphire reserve. They just say you can apply for it. It's just because I found a way around in order to get another one. That's their fault then. They wouldn't get mad at me for being smart enough to to do that. That'd be weird. But again, one of the things, you are right. They are a bank. They could do whatever they felt like doing, and I would just have to deal with it. But so far, Chase has been pretty cool. I've also been a really decent customer with Chase, but I know I've heard stories of people getting shut down by American Express, Chase, and they've had this amount of money with them. Banks typically, don't care. They care when it comes to lending you products. So like a mortgage, they care how much business they get out of you then. But they're not just going to use, oh, I've been a customer for this many years. So they're not going to shut me down, or they are going to shut me down. It's not going to happen. At least for something not illegal. Right? It's not illegal to have multiple Chase Sapphire reserves. It just isn't. And no fear of clawback on my end. I think if anything like that were to ever happen, it would have already happened. So, especially with like having 10 platinum cards with American Express. I mean, it seems like if something were to happen where someone got shut down, that would be something, but that's obviously not illegal. That's completely legal within American Express, because they literally say you can have up to 10. So it's their rule at the end of the day. Yeah. So happy that the bill got passed. I'm coming up on just almost an hour on this live stream. I hope you learned something. I hope if you are a leader in the military, you share this video, share this live stream with your people so that they are up on the latest news regarding the shutdown, also latest benefits regarding how to weather the storm, and the credit products that you would need in order to execute a balance transfer or a 0% intro APR period for 15 or 18 months, or sometimes in some cases 21 months. I know a card that I did not mention was the Wells Fargo Reflect credit card that has a 21-month intro APR period. So just more game for you. And then the banks, USAA and Navy Federal, that offer these loan programs for you at 0%. That when you get back pay, you just pay them back. Easy day. So hope you learned that, but also if you learn anything, you learn that if you are in the military, you are definitely being used as a bargaining tool to either prevent or to cause shutdowns. So just remember that and follow this channel, subscribe to this channel, because on this channel, I try to teach you how to take advantage of all the benefits the military has to offer. So the in-game scenario that you want to be financially set so that if a government shutdown ever happened, it doesn't even affect you because you're good to go. Like you don't have any worry in the world about the government not paying you because you've already set up your investments to be able to pay you. You've already set up real estate to be able to pay you. You've already set up business to be able to pay you. So that's what I'm trying to get you guys to do on this channel. I want you guys to be financially set, build generational wealth, and it just so happens to start with credit cards. It starts at this early junction of credit cards, but this builds on itself multiple times over to where credit cards turns into investments turn into real estate. Now you have all these properties. Now you have all of these businesses. These businesses are now paying you residually, and you did that. You started with some credit cards. So the bigger plan is at play. The bigger plan is part of what I'm trying to give you on this channel. It's just you can't always see it in the very beginning, but you stick with it long enough, it will come. Any more questions in the comments, put them there. I'll answer it. If that is all, everybody who's sitting in here with me, please hit that like button for me. Can we get to 10? I see we're at 8 right now. Can we get to 10 likes? Come on, we're at 9. Can we get one more? One more like in there. Who's the ghost? Who's the ghost that's watching the video that hasn't hit the like? I think everybody has actually hit the like button for me. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for. Babo says, appreciate you answering all my questions. Thanks, Noble. Hey, what a super chat. Thanks, Babo. Appreciate the support. Thanks for joining me on this live. Remember to share the channel. And thanks. Thank you for your service as well. All right. I'm going to let you guys go. Peace.